We're rolling. Cameras on. Buzzing
Started.
started.
We're buzzing.
Let's fill our glasses.
I look forward to seeing this bottle.
Yeah.
What we got?
Glen Turret, the 2022 release. You're a big whiskey guy. You know a lot.
Not absolutely zero about whiskey. I just love drinking it.
I'll let you do the honours.
You need to do the honours as a guest.
Yeah.
Have a look. Let us know what you think. So it's the new Glen Turret release. They just brought out all the new packaging, the new bottling. This has been touted actually as
Pretty
it's
collectible.
one of the collectibles.
So we get to keep it once we have a couple with it.
Well, yeah, we'll see how much is left at the end.
Yeah, fill it up with tea.
There you go, lovely. Thank Jojo. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. That's a smart bottle.
Yeah,
That's actually kind of like the Gibson family coat of arms on the front of it. That was definitely a made up coat of arms.
Who's Gibson?
Yeah, well, there's a lot.
Oh, we're starting like
That starts us off on the first sort of, or the most obvious question for me was going to be about the stage name, I suppose. Luke La Volpe.
It's a long
is the stage name.
La Volpe is how you say it. Yeah.
Well, I'm actually not sure anymore, to be honest, because many people have called me La Volpe.
La Volpe. That's what I was going
I started questioning it, and there was one time I was with an Italian guy, and he was like, "Oh, that means the wolf." I was like, "Fuck," because I thought it was the fox.
Right.
I've now found it is the fox, so I don't think I was just trying to ban me up or something. But it's a very long story. It makes me sound really strange when I talk about it. But I've always been like obsessed with foxes for a wee boy for some reason, right?
Mhm.
And I know that's mental, but
It's a cool animal.
aye, like you ever heard the what's it called? It's like red car syndrome or something, right? So if somebody says you're going to see a red car, that day you're going to see probably about 10 red cars, and you're going to be like, holy fuck, there's so many red cars. But it's just because it's been highlighted in your head. So for years I had this thing about foxes, like, oh, it's a good luck charm for me. And like it'd be stuff like I'd go to a mate's house and there'd be a fox on the doormat, and I'd be like, oh my god, that means something to me. And I'd tell my mates to be like, you're going to have your nut. But and it'd be stuff like walking past a shop window, it'd be like a statue of a fox. I'd be like, oh, that's good luck charm, means I'm on the right path and that.
Mm-hmm.
Just went on for years and years. And then I was playing a game called Assassin's Creed, right? On the PlayStation. And the guy was the king of thieves.
You saw the characters.
It's called La Volpe.
Yeah.
And I was like, just by chance, I was like, what does that mean? And I googled it and I see the fox, and I was like, no danger, this is happening here. But then I later found it, years later. My mum used to keep all like primary 1, 2 stuff. It's something about that, Joe.
Yeah, get stuck into that. Don't be shy.
Mum used to keep all like her primary school stuff, and I was looking through my box like of like finger paintings and all that. And do you remember when you were at primary school, you had like your coat hanger?
Mm-hmm.
You put your coat on.
No way.
Mine was the fox.
No way.
So that's obviously where it's stemmed from.
I love that.
Obviously, I've been like, I'm the fox every time.
Wait, that's actually a bit
weird.
legit.
But seeing I seen it, I was like, what? Like absolute freaking
Shaking that.
Well, it's mental, but that's where it comes from.
So that's where you got the stage name, and actually, is it an alter ego for you? Is it like you're in that green room before a gig, and then you turn into Luke La Volpe, and that's you ready to go game face?
If you meet me in person after going to one of my gigs, you'd be like, that's not the same guy. But definitely a bit of an hour before a gig, you've got to get in the mindset of becoming La Volpe, which sounds like an egotistical thing to say, but I definitely have to.
That is exactly how you came out.
Yeah.
Like a man
in Glasgow. Well, just the way you came out in the suit, which we'll touch on. We'll touch on that. I said to everyone, I told everybody about it.
Love it.
I was like, oh my god, you came out like a rock star, right? I was like, you were very different to the guy that I'd met beforehand, who's played like with your guitar at an intimate gig.
You've kind of got to be, because if you think of any great artist, like one of my biggest inspirations was Elvis. Like he was just like a caricature of like a person. You know what I mean? It's like everything, even on a stage, it's got to be so over exaggerated. Like see when you strum a guitar, like when you do like such a over exaggerated strum, it might to you in your head feel you look like a fanny doing it over the top, but on a stage you're a tiny wee person on it. It's like nothing. You know what I mean? It looks like nothing. When you watch videos back, it's like it just looks like you're doing a strum. In your head it was. So you've got to like exacerbate everything and make it huge for it to like stick with folk. If that makes sense.
It does. No, it makes a lot of sense, and I'm just sitting there thinking back to like watching you, what you were doing, and I should have analysed it more. I should have done this before it.
Attention,
that's kind of pointing to him doing the job, isn't it? It's like when you become a performer, then actually what people are doing watching you is they're just engrossed in that performance. They're not looking at it and looking at that strum or looking at any specific movements or the inflections in your voice necessarily. They're not analysing it individually. They're just looking at you as a performer and going,
it's such a hard thing to do. It take me a long time to actually get used to being on a stage, and cause usually you're just like, especially a lot of my songs, I'm always in front of the mic. You're constantly focusing on singing. It's actually the boy that plays in my band, Kieran. He said to me after my gig last year at St Luke's, he's like, you need to start like making the crowd yours. And I was like, how do you do that? How do you learn to do that? So like nobody teaches you how to do that. You just got to like watch like people like Elvis or like any other hero before and see what they do. So like you didn't want to be going out and like shaking your hips and all that. That's a bit mental. Sometimes you got to go that far.
I'm interested in going back to the start, if we can. It's an obvious place to start. Is going back to where it all began, the first time you picked up a guitar, or is that your instrument of choice, or was it? Did you do you write songs on guitar? Did you pick up the piano, or was it always guitar? Where did it all start, and how did it all come about?
I think the first, I'm gonna do what I always do to Joe here actually. And the first interest in music was obviously my papa. That I speak about a lot of my music. He was like a singer, and like just used to like listen to him. He'd like sing at parties, and you'd always have like karaoke on his house and that with like my cousins and everything. I enjoyed it, but at that point I didn't think I want to be a singer. But then like my older brother Joe, who's sitting out there, he was in a band called the Harringtons. I'm sure he'll tell you a little bit later on. But it was always used to like watch them rehearsing that at our house in our garage and everything. And I was like intrigued that like being a younger brother, wanted to come in and watch it and wanted to be involved. But obviously Jordan never ever let me get involved in it.
Just regretting that now.
But like that kind of like piqued my interest, and like even just like looking at them going on, like I was too young obviously to go to gigs and that, and seeing them going to gigs and seeing videos there, and just being like, how, like I've got so long to wait until I need to do that. So I was like, I need to start practicing now to get in it. And I went to guitar lessons, but in fact before that I done trumpet at school, and I was like, could not fucking play the trumpet at all. And I remember it was actually my papa's brother Sam. He's still alive, so I hope he doesn't actually see this and hates me for it. But I remember me and my cousin Emily used to get trumpet lessons with him in the house, and he'd like an old guy, man. Like he'd take your trumpet off you and play it. Like fuck me.
Hand it back to you.
Like you get it back, you're like, oh my god. You can still taste his dinner for the night before. But that pretty much put me off a trumpet straight away. I was like, I need to play an instrument that doesn't involve my mouth. But so I went to guitar lessons. Me and Jordan actually went to guitar lessons together. A guy called Michael Matheson, who owns the Purple Orange in Barkey, which is a wee venue. And I later, when I got older, started giving guitar lessons out there. But I remember like going to the guitar lessons and sitting with Jordan, and there was I can't even remember exactly what the song was, but there was a point where we were like, he had like a wee recording booth in his wee studio, and he thought we'd just try and like write your own song, like write your own tune, try and sing. And when I sang, I remember coming out and the guy looking at me like, what the fuck did you just do there? Because I was like a wee boy with like, I don't know, like long blonde hair, and I like just had like a massive voice. Not know what it sounds like now, but like it was like a squeaky version of what it was.
Yeah.
So then at that point I was like, maybe I could be a singer. Yeah, I took music at school. You get at school, you get to pick 2 instruments. So I picked guitar, and at that point, I didn't really I wasn't confident in singing or that. So I took guitar and took drums. I tried to be a drummer, and surprisingly, I've got very little rhythm. Which my drummer will tell you, he always gets on to me all the time about being on the beat all the time. But it got to the day of my exam, and my teacher was like, "You're gonna fail if you don't change instrument." So I thought, well, I'll just try. It was Mr. Fowler actually made him. So I tried singing. I sang a David Bowie tune, Heroes, and I smashed it, got an A for it. So that was the point where I was kind of like, maybe I should do it.
And at that point, are you thinking, be a singer like I'm gonna headline Glastonbury one day, or are you thinking like I'm gonna play at people's parties and stuff? Like at what point did you think I'm going to the fucking top?
I didn't know exactly, but I always wanted, I didn't want to ever have a normal job. Because fuck that, I'm a lazy bastard. I didn't want to work. Fuck that. So if I could make money singing, doing something I enjoy, then why would you not do it? But I went full time singing when I was 22 maybe. I was working in a warehouse, and I was starting to get good gigs at that point. I'd formed a band, and I got offered a gig with Tom Grennan, support Tom Grennan. I entered a competition to support him at St Luke's, and the following week Capaldi was playing at Princess Street Gardens, and he offered me to play that as well. So that's 2 of the biggest gigs that ever I can imagine. And I asked my boss to have a couple of days off to go to it, and they were like, "No, you can't take a week off." So I just left my job that day, and then I never worked again. Know that it was a sustainable thing to be doing.
Yeah.
I thought at that point, it was just a trigger in my head at that point, if I can't do this now, I just need to fucking smash it as hard as I can, see if I can do it. Because if somebody's not giving you that opportunity for a workplace, then...
What was the workplace?
I wouldn't say it. I've already had a lot of hassle after them, because I said something on STV about them, and I came back.
Alright, we'll try and keep the controversy to a minimum.
But there's a lot... It's actually hard to think back where it all came from. There's a lot of things that kind of fell into place at the same time just for me to do it, and it's now got to the point it's too late. I need to. It was this or fuck all now.
You gotta go for it. Where did the voice come from? You've got such a distinctive voice. You stand up and you open your mouth, and
it's deep as anything.
This voice comes out. Where did you get that? Did that come out naturally, or have you cultivated that style from somewhere, or where's it come from?
Wasn't it always like that? It was obviously my papa was a big influence. He was into swing singing, Sinatra and Dean Martin and Bing Crosby kind of stuff and all that, and just listening to him and enjoying that kind of music, I kind of copied it in my voice. And even Elvis as well, his style, I just the power and the gravitas it. So it did start off as copying it, and then it just became your throat and your singing voice is like a muscle. The more you train that range, especially at a younger age, when you train that, then that's what becomes naturally to you. So I think it was it just grew over time, man.
You've got a deep booming voice, anyway.
That's just because I'm in a podcast. Try to look like I've got that, but usually I'm always squeaky again.
I understand. And going back, the suits. At what point were you like, I'm going to be the funky suit, 3-piece?
Because it's the hair, the voice, the suit, the whole thing. Is it that?
I think
it's a look, right?
Again, it's getting inspired by people like Elvis, even David Byrne for Talking Heads. I've always liked his style, coming out. David Bowie as well. He was always, every time he came out, he was wearing something. Straight away before he's even opened his voice, there was a talking point of what's going on. I think that the first time I ever wore, it was suit jacket and jeans and a shirt. Was that Capaldi gig at Princess Street, and that's where I played that gig and I met my manager that I've got the now at that gig. And I remember speaking to him after, and he's like, I love the idea of somebody in a suit, and obviously the Sinatra side and that coming out like the classical. So it just always stuck to there. Like every time I played a gig, I had to wear a different suit to kind of keep that up, because I thought if that manager likes it, then everybody must like it. But I don't know. I've always liked suits, but it's expensive as fuck. Like, every fucking gig, you've got to get a new suit. But my mum's skint, man.
The music you're talking about there, were you listening to that, like listening to it growing up? Like, were you sitting listening to that like in your bedroom? Like, you know, I'm growing up listening to
that along with,
I was listening to new metal growing up, man. I was listening to Limp Bizkit and that. And you're listening to Bing Crosby and
it wasn't even just that too. I was listening to like blues stuff, old blues stuff like B.B. King and like Little Richard, even like Howlin' Wolf, like all these guys, like old black blues singers. Like obviously I got into that through listening to Elvis and hearing that he'd never wrote one of his own songs. Like, he took it, he stole it, but like I then got into that. I was like, this is what, like, the emotion of that music, blues music, like sadder kind of music. Totally fell in love with that, and then all my mates used to be like, what the fuck, like, why are you listening to that? Because like I was never interested in chart music ever. Even to this day, it makes me feel sick when I listen to it. But now I'm in a position where I'm now having to try and break into that. Yeah. I remember being told off my manager, and it was actually quite a sad moment for me. But like, I appreciate it. I'm saying it, but I recorded some songs, and when they came back, I was like, they don't sound the way like I imagined it sound. Like they'd been total polished up.
So it'd gone away and been edited.
Yeah.
And come back to you and you heard it for the first time. And like, fuck, that's
not even edited. There was like the production on it was like total like popped up, basically. And I remember being like, it's no way it sounds. And he said to me, if you think you're going to be like the next Elvis Presley in the modern age, now, like, you're kidding yourself, like, it doesn't exist. And he's right, because somebody like Elvis or even like Bob Dylan or whoever came out now, you would never hear them. No. Which is sad to me, but
well, it's interesting you're talking about the music you listen to, and I listened to a lot of like popular music, I suppose, at the time, but I love Bob Dylan. I'm a huge Bob Dylan fan now, and I grew up listening to Bob Dylan from when I was quite a young age, and it's the same. I went through the same thing. My mates been like, "Who the fuck is Bob Dylan? Why are you listening to that nonsense?" The
worst gig I've ever been at.
I've heard he's getting quite bad now. But.
Yeah, well, that's it. And I get that there's not. I suppose there's another part of that when you're talking about audience, your relationship with audience and stuff. And I guess we could talk about that a little bit. But his whole thing, it all came from the same Dust Bowl blues, sort of that style of music as well.
That's the total birth of proper music. Yeah. Like, rock and roll, everyone comes through that. Yeah. Even like R&B now, like you hear R&B, what do you think? R&B is rhythm and blues. You know what I mean? Blues, yeah. Like R&B now it's like a totally different thing altogether. Yeah.
So what came back? So that first time you put a song and they produced it and that came back. What was the process?
It doesn't sound bad. It didn't sound bad at all. It was like, it wasn't me saying like, oh, I don't like it. It was just like, it wasn't what I imagined, like what I envisaged in my head, like being
your sound
put out there, my sound.
And your manager, what's his job? Like when in conversations that we've had, you're like, oh, I need to ask my manager. I need to make sure it's okay. So
his job just ensuring that I'm not being silly in decisions all the time, like keeping me right, because I have no idea what I'm doing in this industry. I don't think a lot of people, even like major labels, that know really what they're doing in this industry. But like Gordon, he's worked a lot of big artists. He owns a PR company, does a lot of big artists, like he does Capaldi, does like George Ezra, loads of stuff PR. So he knows what he's talking about, and sometimes you've got to swallow like a bit of your pride when you don't want to do something, and just like respect somebody who knows what they're doing. Because if I could say like, no, I want to put my foot in here and like it's my decision to do this, and then it would fall flat on its face and be like, I told you, like, you know what I mean? Yeah. I'd rather take a bit of insight for somebody who's got more experience.
Yeah, and it's a like competition between managers. Are they like fighting over each other to sign someone like you, or?
I wouldn't say so. So it's weird that like music industries a pretty small world. Like people, you think it'd be like so many random different people in that, but like it's weird how close knit it is all together. But I think that the new, especially, nobody really like has a clue what's going on. Like we were talking earlier before the podcast about TikTok and that. Like that's just changed the full game. Like the music.
In a good way or a bad way?
Well, depends what you look at. To me, I think it's a bad way because it's like everyone's new short attention span. It's like if you are flicking through TikTok and you hear a song, if you don't like that song within 3 seconds, you're flicking past it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So that to me is like killing the full idea of an album, sitting listening to an album all the way through and like appreciating like a piece of art. It's now like how quickly does this 15-second video smash a bit of endorphins into your brain?
Yeah.
It's like it's not actually appreciating the art anymore. It's just like I don't know, kind of it's like a brainwashing mechanism, isn't it?
Yeah, as we film a 2-hour podcast.
Well,
could be in trouble.
But we do different sort of like forms of media, right? Forms of content, right? We do short form content, we do long form content, we do live content, and it's like I don't know if it's a generational thing, right? But I'm a long form content consumer, right? So I will listen to podcasts that are 3 hours long, 2 hours long. I listen to like Dan Carlin's Horrible Histories, which is like 5 or 6 hours long, talking about like Mayan wars and that, and I love it.
That's what I was trying to think of it earlier on when I was talking about the Get History podcast.
Oh, was it? Oh, it's brilliant, right? But it's about 5 or 6 hours long. It's crazy. And I just think a lot of people, I don't know if it is an age thing or a generational thing, but a lot of people just aren't consuming media in that way now. And I guess like for artists that's out there producing and creating content and media, how much does that come into your thinking? How much is that coming into your manager's strategy when they're looking at what you're doing and what you're releasing and how you're producing? You're producing an LP, right, or an album, or whatever. Yeah. Are you thinking, I've got 6 songs or 10 songs and I want to create this work of art? Or is there an element of it that's like, if I get on TikTok and get 1 billion views, I'm going to get 1 million.
That's what, like, a lot, like, I've never been big on social media ever. Like, I use it as a tool to promote stuff. I mean, like, TikTok, when did it even come about? I remember it during, like, the lockdown.
A few years, maybe.
Like, starting and being told, like, not being told by, not being forced to do it, but imagine being like, this is, music's gone down here, than it. Like,
that road. Yeah.
Like, people still use Spotify and that, but I don't think major record labels are looking at Spotify as, like, the major thing that's happening now. It's like looking at TikTok now is like, because like you've got like the minds of, not even just like, you've got like everybody that's got a phone has TikTok on it basically. That is a consumer, you know what I mean? So, like so I got told start putting stuff on that. So like all the stuff you've built on Instagram and Spotify and that, like it's no null and void, but it's like now you've got to start again here in this new platform.
Yeah.
So you got to build that up again, and then I think a lot of labels are looking at TikTok as like a quick way to find an artist who has already created some kind of viral thing that then people are already interested in it or sharing it about. They can then pick up that artist, use them for a period, get that song out them, and then drop them again and get rid of it.
Yes, it's like a home run for your for record labels or
maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm being too cynical about it. But
potentially, but it makes sense if you're an executive at a record label, right, and you've seen somebody that's out there and their song is hitting TikTok and it's going, and you just pick them up, ride that wave, and then that's it. Some people, I mean, there's people, and correct me if I'm wrong here, there's people making like genuine fortunes, right? Because one song hits a TikTok reel and it gets picked up and then it gets reposted millions of times and then this person gets monetized and they make millions.
To me, Taylor, like see, like everybody that has been like one of my heroes, like take David Bowie for example, right? One of the greatest artists. Not just like in music, to me, like he's like when I think of him, he's like an icon. Like he himself is a piece of art, right? See if he was like putting up TikToks every day. I'm talking about stuff. He'd totally lose his mystique of like being this like golden icon. It's like, to me it's just a strange, like I want to be a artist, like a singer, and I don't want to be a social media like influencer famous person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's a totally different thing altogether. But sadly it's hand in hand.
Yeah, but I suppose this is perhaps just being on the other side.
It's a great tool.
There's people who have kind of made a song bash in their hand and sang. What's you know the guy, the Weller man,
Shanty Boy.
Yeah, within about a month he had a song in the charts.
I know, it's mad.
And he was a postman.
That's how powerful that is.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But
I get what you're saying, but I'm like, it's the way I see it anyway, from sitting here and watching your stuff. I'm like, I've looked through the views, and long before we had the podcast then, and I've thought like, what the fuck? I'm not being harsh on you. I'm like, how's that not popped yet?
Because this is the other word that every time I hear it makes me actually twitch. The word algorithm.
Yeah.
See, this is the algorithm.
This is like Minority Report shit. Like you're taking music, a beautiful thing like that, and it's now coming down to this AI algorithm. You got to post 3 times a day to get the algorithm to pick you up, to put you in the limelight in front of people. It's just like, it's not what it should be. Man.
Did David Bowie not say something about the internet
It's an amazing video.
There's a video of him, like talking about the effects the internet was going to have on.
It's called an alien life form, and that.
Is that what? And I've read, and I wish I could quote it verbatim for the sake of this podcast, and we might edit. We maybe do it later. We can edit me in like talking really eloquently about this quote.
It's the boy for what's it called?
I'm sure he does. There's a video.
I know what you're talking about.
And he nails it, and it's like what he's talking about is absolutely bang on to what's happened today, which is really interesting.
Because that guy was an alien.
Oh, he was ahead of his time, man.
We've got any aliens already?
He was way ahead of his time. yeah. David Bowie's an alien. That's the name of the podcast now.
Aye, fucking right. He is.
TalkJuice, Luke La Volpe, David Bowie's an alien.
That's going to get views. I had a mad time.
That's going to hit the algorithm.
I remember when David Bowie died, right? David Bowie died. I can't remember. Like, I'm a huge David Bowie fan, and I remember my girlfriend coming in, waking me up, and being like, "David Bowie's died," and I was like, "What the totally upset about it." Then, 2 weeks before that, son, he'd released an album called Black Star, right? And one of the songs in it is called Lazarus, and there's a guy in the Bible. I think it's Bible, called Lazarus, who faked his death. Maybe I'm paraphrasing this, but he apparently died, but then he came back and surprised everybody. So when Finn told me David Bowie's dead, I was like, he's like, this is a fucking publicity stunt, I think, to come back to sell his album. And then a couple of weeks passed.
No Bowie.
Still, I think we're still waiting on Tupac, are we not?
They're sitting together somewhere waiting. But and then it was just actually...
Well, do you know what? Talk about that. I mean, Tupac's album, Biggie's albums were ready to die, and then Life After Death. 2 albums died in between the 2 of them, which is crazy. That's crazy. And had released Life After Death, before he died.
We're going to get down the conspiracy hole early.
That's
finished this whiskey.
Yeah. How are you finding the whiskey, actually?
It's nice, like.
It's alright, it's quite easy.
I've sunk it.
You just smashed it.
Keep topping up. Keep topping up.
Fire in. It's what you're getting off that. Nice.
Yeah, it's nice. Look what you're getting. Come on,
let's get some tastings.
Listen, I've seen you at 2 tastings now.
You've done 2 tastings.
I've no idea, man. I didn't see.
No, I'm good. I'm alright.
Yeah, I poured a big one. Thanks,
mate. These daily tastings, right?
Yeah.
These are like then he's like, it's like somebody shout out something. They smell. You can't nobody can be wrong.
You can't. Well,
you can't be wrong because
you can be wrong, right? You could say
somebody's like dog shit.
Yeah. So you could be wrong, but objectively, what tends to happen is people that go to those tastings are interested and want to engage. So you've already got.
Was that a dig at me though?
Because I've seen you get 2 already and got pished at 2 as well. I thoroughly enjoyed yourself. Thoroughly enjoyed. That's why you're here now.
Right.
But I think people. So you've got people who are already engaged, right?
Yeah.
So same as if I pay to go and see you at a gig. I'm standing in the crowd. I'm engaged because I want to enjoy myself. I'm already primed, right?
Yeah.
So you've got people in that situation who are primed to engage with it. And then I think if the person who's hosting the tasting can prize out of people, because there's a bit of shyness and there can be a bit of embarrassment about talking about what you can taste in those whiskey and stuff.
You done well talk about the cheeses.
Fucking cheeses. I was just reading up a bit of paper like that, right? Okay. Cheese number 1. But
budget cuts that.
Budget cut.
Couldn't afford the cheese lady.
Expensive shit.
But nothing's wrong, you smell that and tell me because there's the classics, right? Your chocolate and vanilla and all the stuff, bread. And
what's the maddest thing somebody's ever said?
Oh, you get especially not so much for like something that's like a Highland or something that's reasonably sweet, because that is quite chocolatey and quite sweet and quite easy going. If you get ones that are like your Islas that are smoked, or you start to get some weird taste in those. People like burnt tires and can smell like tarmac and drying paint and stuff, and it's like. But again, all that does is it points towards a sort of chemically kind of taste to the whiskey, which is not wrong. And mostly palate is just being able to articulate your own memory, really, because I think that when I smell something,
talk us through how you would.
Yeah, all I would do, I would just smell it, and then I'm trying to put into words what it is that I can sort of remember.
So
if that makes sense, which is kind of a bit of a weird way to articulate.
It's also worth saying we always cover our own.
Experts.
We cover our own backs by saying we're not experts. Whiskey lovers, not experts. But when you read the notes and it goes quite deep into something like a Christmas cake on a wintry night kind of thing. That's
a date attached to it.
But that's artistic license right there. I'm telling you.
But that is also like
I'm feeling tired.
It's like I'm getting raisins. I'm getting dried fruit, and then
is that actually what you're getting at? It?
No, this is an example. That's probably I should have picked.
That's not bad though.
No, but if
it's quite like that.
Right, so what you get there?
Butter. Like brioche, like a chocolate
pastry,
brioche.
A bit pastry.
Pastry, yeah.
You getting Joe?
I'm getting chocolate.
Chocolatey, really chocolatey. It is really chocolatey.
But
so just think chocolate and then close your eyes and just.
Yeah, but is that what's happening? Is that you use just
there is an element of suggestion in this,
right.
I think.
For sure. But when you read those notes that I was saying, it's like, right, I'm getting sultanas, then maybe a bit cinnamon, and it's like, right, what has cinnamon and sultanas? Christmas cake, right? Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I'm getting that. So it's like all put into one.
So do you reckon if I presented you the same whiskey twice, would you get the same notes off it?
No, probably not.
Yeah, and so. Sometimes
two different answers.
Two different answers, and I'll say why when I've maybe got 7 or 8 whiskies open in the house just now, and I'll say to my dad, "Can challenge me, and I'll get it right.
Okay, yeah.
I'll get not every time.
So you just push it.
Probably. I just like to drink whiskey, but also, I mean, people can't even do Coke and Pepsi, right? So you put Coke in one glass, Pepsi
you do the blind straw thing.
People still
TikTok. Hang off TikTok.
Is it a TikTok thing? That so this Pepsi challenge has been called. It's been around since way before TikTok. But people are like, I absolutely hate Pepsi. Hate it, can't drink it, and then they'll do the Pepsi challenge or the Coke challenge or whatever you want to call it, and they'll be like, "That one's better." Oh, it's Pepsi. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's very, very difficult to pick out. Yeah. We've done blind tastings before, and like you'll have a bottle of like Ben Bracken, like a bottle of 30 or 20 quid whiskey out of Lidl, and you'll have something that's maybe 80, 90 quid, like a single malt, and like. Some people pick this
really.
Oh, because you just pick what's the best one, and I think that's the beauty of it. And I don't think that's something to be scorned or something to be looked down upon. That's something to be cherished and enjoyed. Is that actually there's so much.
That's what I've always like been like. I don't know. Obviously, it's all just in the taste, like what you like. But, like I couldn't tell you exactly if I done a blind taste. I couldn't tell you the difference between a good whiskey and a bad whiskey. But like
you could to you though.
I feel that Like I feel like you get totally blown away, like what the bottle looks like and that, and then
Oh, definitely.
And that affects the way that. What one? What is it?
I heard for years about bog hole pies.
What's that?
The butchers.
They've got the best pies in the world. Like literally.
What do you mean?
The butcher. Bog hole.
What was the story?
Oh right.
Your papa just kept me on.
No,
quid for 2 out of Scotland.
So, but everybody's like eating them like, oh, absolutely ridiculous.
Who did this? Your granddad.
My papa.
I love that man. He's an absolute white.
Another story about Papa with a pie, man. Oh my god, this is the best.
So just let me just clarify. So there's a butcher here in Bathgate, which is meant to be a Bog Hall Butchers, this world class butcher, best in the world. Mm-hmm. So your Papa would come in Christmas Day with the pies already nice and warm, and they're actually bells out of a packet and use it all there
to save a couple of quid.
Best butcher in the world. I love it.
I hope I don't love the story, right? But
This is even better.
This is fucking mental, man.
That's going in the
I've
trailer.
not
Oh, mate, I'm getting settled in. I've
not thought about this for years. But so, my papa used to go away to work, and this is about when the fax machine first came out, right? And it was like obviously a world-breaking thing. You could just fucking send invoices to people straight to the machine, scan it in, straight there. And my papa went to work one morning, phoned my nana, and was like, "Oh, I forgot my lunch." So where are we going with this? Where do you think we're going with this?
Fax for lunch today.
So,
Like a soup in the fax machine.
so was it? Who was it? Was it her dad phoned? Somebody phoned somebody. My dad. Anyway, my phone. My dad was like, "Son, wrong with this fax machine. It's not working." He's like, "Right, I'll be round now. See what's happening." So he goes up the stair, opens the computer room door, and there's it's on its switch and that. It's like everything's sound. Opens up the lid. Fucking, there's a pie just flattened into it. Pie just flattened into the top of the fax machine. Thinking it's some sort of mad fucking teleportation device. You can send a pie across the internet to another fax machine.
So, right,
there's your problem there. There's your problem. You've got a pie in the fax machine. That's why it's not working.
I've nailed it. We've got it.
See what's going on.
I've figured it out. There's a pie in the fax machine. So was he in the wind up, or is he?
No,
was he?
That was real.
Was he taking the piss though? Was he? He was thinking that the pie was going to arrive.
No, like that was like they were blown away the fax machine that much. They thought they could send pies.
Do you know what? See, when we're editing these podcasts, we're always looking for clips to use for the.
Take that as a soundbite.
We're always looking for.
The thing is, that was actual bog pie that got wasted.
That's a good pie it went. He wasn't getting sent any fucking shite Bell's pies for the fact.
Oh man,
this is going to be so easy to edit into clip.
I know. On the topic of crazy stories, it just the craziest story I think I've ever heard. You told me it was the train story.
Right. Okay. Right.
I really want you to.
Looks like by that reaction he doesn't want to tell that one. But
Fuck.
I feel like this is like a setup. This is like going to be like a joke that they're playing on me.
No, it's not a setup, and this is a real story. But the person who this story, the real person in this story is somebody that we deal with. I'm not going to say who it is but we can talk about off camera who it is. So I'm going to mask the name, but. And I hopefully I'm going to tell it the same way as
I hope you do. I
don't know how you've managed to get from pies in the fax machine to this story.
I'm loving it,
but it's fucking hilarious. So a friend of mine was travelling down to London for a job. He works in whiskey actually, which is why it's a wee bit, I suppose, kind of poignant. And he was travelling down to London for a work, like for a work day or a meeting or something. He was on the train and he got all the way down to London. He was sitting in his seat and he fucking sharted, right? So he was like in his seat, and then he basically got up. He was like, "Fuck, I'm just fucking like shit my pants, so I'm gonna have to go into the toilet." So he went into the toilet and he like cleaned himself up and all that, like washed out his bockies and all his jeans and everything. And then he was like, right, opened the window and chucked his bockies out the window. I was like, right, sound, no bother. And then went to put his jeans on, and he realised he's chucked his jeans out the window. And he's got his bockies.
I thought you were going to say he chucked his pants out the window and they flew and stuck to the window.
Nah, he's chucked his jeans out the window, and then he's standing there in the toilet on a train, like about to pull into into Pancras station, like with a pair of shitty pants. He's had to put them on, and then he's just like cutting about London with his like jumper wrapped around his waist.
But so he just what? Did he keep the pants on when he got off the train?
He had nothing else, so he just had to clean them. So he's got wet pants on and just a jumper tied around his waist, just cutting about.
Did he have any other clothes with him? No. Oh my god. Where did he go for
just dive into fucking Zara or something, maybe pick up a pair of jeans. But like, how'd you walk into Zara?
You're not going to Zara with shit, but you no chance.
How have you got from that?
Just the image of a squash pie, maybe.
The squash pie.
It was just.
It's so funny. That's a great story. Is that retelling? Is that a fair retelling?
Yeah.
Aye, that's the story. He fucking chucked his jeans out the window.
That's not the story I was talking about.
No, the other train story. Your other mate that chasing.
Aye, chucked his fucking trousers out the window. Absolutely hilarious, man.
Yeah.
I don't know how to segue this into another conversation.
They'll shut themselves.
I know. I feel like we might have peaked quite early.
It's time yet.
It's time. Oh, I really don't know how to pull this back now.
I'm gonna just rewind back to you actually. Your biggest song just now, Terribly Beautiful. Yeah.
Right, easy.
When you wrote that, did you think that's the best song I've ever written?
Nah. It's like it's hard that like, see when writing in that as well when you're trying to. This is where like your own like psyche comes into when you're writing a song. Like you're like, is this actually good? Do I know what I'm doing here? That's what I had to end up like. I done a lot of co-writing with a lot of people because like, when I met my manager after that Capaldi gig, I said to him, he was like, "What do you need to?" Because I need to write my tunes. So he's like, "What do you need though to get there?" And I was like, "I'm no confident in my songwriting at all." Because every time I'd write a song, I'd maybe get like 3/4 way through and I'd be like, "This is bullshit," and just like crumple up paper and fuck it in the bin. I probably lost like 100, maybe more than that, amazing songs like through that, doing that. So I was like, I need somebody to be there with me for when a day sound good to be like, that's class. Or when a day sound bad, then a song they're like, well, maybe we should change it. So like with Terribly Beautiful, that was during lockdown. I done a thing called, what was it, Sothathon Sing Along, it was called, right? So it was like folk. I would play tunes on my couch, live stream it, and a lot of like also everybody wasn't getting any gigs during lockdown. So I was like, if I put on like a internet gig where everybody gets a slot between like 7:00 and 7 in the morning, which was a ridiculous idea. We'll go into that. Why that was bad, but like if everybody like does that, so they were. I was doing that, and Kyle Faulkner for The View ended up taking one of the slots, and he was like, he was one of my the first band I've ever seen actually with The View.
I loved them, mate. I absolutely loved them. I remember them coming out of Dundee, and a friend of mine being like,
they're actually just back playing again. I think.
Yeah, I saw that yesterday.
Yesterday.
Oh, brilliant!
But so like he had took part in it, and then I messaged him saying like, oh, your set was amazing, thanks very much to Derek. So we were raising money for the Music Venues Trust to basically, like, loads of these venues were going under during the pandemic, and we were trying to basically keep them open. So I was like, to have somebody like him come in and take part in it was like a big boost for us. So like I messaged him saying like, you were class, and then he messaged me back straight away like, you can imagine what he's like. He's mad. I love it. But he was just like, I've got an idea for a song for us that we should do together. I was like, cool, let's do it. So he sent me like this idea. It actually started off as like, I think it was Horribly Beautiful. It started off as, right, and I was listening and I was like I'll try and write about it. So we both in two separate places wrote parts of it and sent it back and forth to each other. And then I had to, at the time, I still didn't have a good setup at home for recording, but at the time I had like nothing. I was in my mum's house, literally with an old laptop, and I had an interface to plug my guitar in, but I didn't have a microphone. I had a Guitar Hero mic for the fucking Xbox that I plugged into the USB. So the I'm not exaggerating. Nobody believes me when I say this, right? The vocals on Terribly Beautiful is a Guitar Hero mic.
Honestly? That is amazing.
I love that.
And user having problems with these fucking mics setting these up, you know what I mean?
You didn't fucking say that when it took us an hour to set up the mics, did it?
I know. Should have said, I've got Guitar Hero in the car for afterwards.
It's like, but so recorded that during lockdown, and then it got to the point where like I was like mad that I'm releasing a tune. I remember actually saying to Jordan at a point too, we were talking about it's mad that I'm releasing a tune with Kyle Faulkner. That's just a weird. How the fuck is your life came to that point, which is amazing.
Yeah.
Released it, and then I released that way. It was Terribly Beautiful, Dead Man's Blues, and what was the other? Was it Familiar Bliss? Familiar Bliss.
Which, by the way, is just an exceptional
It's my
song.
favourite song.
Oh, I know every word. I know every word.
I wrote that.
Sing it then.
I wrote that when I was 16-year-old.
Sing it.
Oh, don't do that
That's
to
how
me.
we met.
That's a wee bit.
What's the lyrics to it? If it's your favourite channel.
Don't do that to me.
Don't do
Listen,
that.
whack the guitar out later on. I'll sing it to you.
We'll get it out later.
Yeah.
But so I released the three of them together, and Terribly Beautiful. Obviously, like went really doing really well because it was all about being in lockdown and like no seeing loved ones, like elder people. At the time, my papa was really unwell with his Alzheimer's and that, and couldn't go around and like see him because like obviously you're worried about giving him COVID. So it was a total emotional song for me doing that. But I released the three of the tunes together, and Dead Man's Blues. I don't know if it's because I'd done like as I released Dead Man's Blues first, Terribly Beautiful, then Familiar Bliss as like a 3-song EP. And there used to be a Scottish chart. There isn't anymore for some reason. But Dead Man's Blues, because that was the first tune on the EP, that went #1 in Scotland. So it was just like fucking unbelievable moment for me.
What was happening? Talk us through that process.
It was like
released it on the Monday.
So when that went #1, it was weird because nobody was allowed to leave their house, and like I'm having this amazing moment and experiencing it through
In isolation.
through putting videos up on Instagram and people replying to me. Like, that's amazing, but like you're just still sitting in the house, like the world's ending, basically at that point. So you didn't want to get too buzzing about it because you might be dead tomorrow. You know what I mean? Like, but I remember when I got to #1, like my papa's Alzheimer's at this point was like pretty bad, and I always wanted. He's got this. He had this black flat cap, like cord flat cap, and I always asked him for it, and he was like, "No, that's like my special hat. I never got it." I went down his house to like see him in the back garden, like he'd stand in the conservatory and I stand outside the door, and he came to the door, and he was looking at me. And at this point, he was like total, like really bad Alzheimer's, didn't really know what's going on, and he was like, "Oh, who got the #1?" Which is like, how do you even know about that? Like, who's told him that? Like, he's not on Instagram much. At this point. And he's like, "Wait there now, I've got something for you." And he went away and he came out and he gave me a hat. He gave me the hat and he gave me a cheque for £100. So I just thought I could have like busted me up. But that's probably the best thing that came about that for me. Which is nice, but I don't know. Like it's such a weird time to look back on that moment because I've constantly been chasing. Like, even just before the pandemic, we had, like, me and the boys in the band had so much momentum getting we got the King Tut's gig, headline King Tut's. We'd played there before, supporting folk many times, but we'd headlined it once before, and we got like 3 tickets away from selling it out. That, for a wee boy, that's been my dream to sell out King Tut's. So like, got 3 tickets away and I was raging. Because actually, see if you sell it King Tut's as well, if you sell it out, it might be only if you sell it a day. No, I think it is if you just sell it out. You get a bottle of whiskey, which is like it's like Glenfiddich or something, but it's like a personalised King Tut's bottle of whiskey.
Oh dear.
So like I was 3 tickets away for getting that.
You never just bought the last 3 tickets yourself?
I never got it, but they went. I tried that shit. Trust me.
No, they bought 1,000.
We
No, they bought 1,000.
1,000 Luke La Volpes at the concert.
Just one guy in the crowd. But like just before the start of the lockdown, I was coming up on a train for London, and we'd got the King Tut's gig, and I left London at 11 o'clock, and by the time I got back to Edinburgh, like how long's the train for London to Edinburgh?
Hours.
5 hours.
Sold at King Tut's in 5 hours then, right? And I remember being like total buzzing about it. A week later, that was lockdown, so I never got to play that gig for 2.5 years. I had to wait to play that gig.
Of course, aye.
Mental. So like, you totally lost all your momentum, and then you get like that Scottish #1 in the middle of that. So it's a big hype up, and then you get your gig that you're meant to play 2.5 years ago, And then it's like once that's played, we played the King Tut's gig, right? Obviously, COVID's still a thing at this point. It's in between. Remember when like lockdown got lifted, and then at Christmas it got
Yeah.
brought back again?
Yeah.
So it got lifted. We played the King Tut's gig, and was it? Aye, played the King Tut's gig. A week later, I was meant to play Transmit. Obviously, got put on a Transmit for the buzz of getting that number one. The day before Transmit, me and my full band all got COVID. Literally the day before, like the biggest day of my fucking life, got COVID, and I had to just like no play it. It's just like you couldn't have mere hurdles put in front of you. Obviously, everybody's had that with lockdown. That was just like wow. So like now it's like it's better when that started. What age would that have been when that all started? It would have been like 20
March 2020.
That's wild. So like you've lost almost 3 years out of it, and then you got to like start it up again. Like that's basically the stage I'm at now with the music. Is just like try to get that momentum back for 3 years ago, basically.
Yeah.
But it's mental now. Like we were talking about the other day with King Tut's on the steps. My name's now on the step at King Tut's. Like that's why
Because you've played it.
the biggest dreams ever. Only I don't know how they decide who gets it, but
It's cool, guys.
but it's like it's mental. Aye, but I thought it was cool. See when they messaged me, you know, like you're on this, sent the picture, and I was like emotional as fuck. Like, cool, exactly, cool guys. And then like look, two to left me, KSI's next to me. You know what I mean? This is the TikTok pish I'm talking about.
To be fair,
We at KSI.
I've
Fucking
got
right with him. Fucking right with him. I'll box him.
you have to box him. I know.
Smash my curtain.
I used to.
What weight class are you?
There's a
60 kilos or
Like,
something?
what's the woman's one? What's that?
Woman's flyweight. Straw weight.
there's a video of me on YouTube.
It's time to tell your boxing story now.
Well, we've got a boxing story.
Yeah.
Oh, right, okay, we'll get into that. Let's see Harvey's one.
My KSI story, right? I'm not so much a fan, or I'm indifferent to the guy now, right? But early KSI, I was like, love that guy. Used to find him hilarious. And
the FIFA stuff. And that,
when he'd like, you mad, bro?
Aye,
Like,
I remember.
and he'd send that in a message.
Emil Heskey and that.
Yeah. And he came up with this challenge, Welcome to Beast, right? And that was his thing. He would, I'm sure it came from something like Heskey or who Akinfenwa or something on FIFA.
Aye.
It was like
It was Akinfenwa.
yeah, he'd do this like Welcome to Beast, and then he was like, right, I'm gonna do a challenge. I want everybody to post a clip, the Welcome to Beast challenge, where you shout Welcome to Beast in like an awkward scenario, right?
Can't wait to what you did.
Winter Wonderland, right? I went into Costa. I actually tried a few places, but they were like, this guy's at it, because I was like a quivering mess. I was so nervous to do the challenge.
Just to keep, Harvey's got a slightly nervous disposition anyway, right? So to do this kind of thing is
there's a video.
out of control.
There's a video of me. It's got about 4,000 views, which at the time I was like,
That's made my TikTok.
ripping my t-shirt off in the middle of Costa, screaming, "Welcome to Beast."
Oh my god.
Just
this video exists?
yeah,
Right now?
Right now.
On the internet?
yeah. And I did it because
Go out and find it.
I thought, like, there's no way KSI is not going to see this. He featured quite a few in his video, and I was like, mine's was better than it.
Did you not get in?
Nah, I never got
Oh
in.
my god.
So I do have beef with the guy, and I just need to beat him up in a
Fuck him.
boxing fight. But I'll show you. I'll show you the video.
The two of you together probably still wouldn't match the weight of or the size of it. KSI.
Listen,
Yeah.
really hard to follow.
I've actually got. Do you know what, man? I've got a lot of time here for these guys now.
KSI?
Now, well, a wee bit, because actually I used to think that it was a lark. Do you know? I used to think that content creation and like being an online celebrity and that was just an easy gig, and it's actually not, right? We do this job. We do this full time, right? Like
Yeah.
it's our job. You put a lot of time and effort into these things, right?
Yeah,
And actually, then when you start to look at successful people that are smashing it, right? It's like fuck, the Mr. Beast. We both love Mr.
Love
Beast.
that.
KSI, like even like Logan Paul
Aye, but
and Jake Paul and
this
that.
is where
It's not
This
easy,
is where
right?
my disposition comes to.
It's not as easy as you think. That's all I'm saying.
No, 100%. I respect for doing that. But
The hustle is real.
you know, like one day, you can just decide when you're at that level, that guy, and be like, oh, I'm a boxer. I'm a singer. I'm a singer now. I'm on King Tut steps now. I don't like. What the fuck are you doing? Like,
yeah, I get that. So when you start to encroach in other people's spaces, that's when people start to, I guess, you get pissed off because you're grinding to try and make your place in that arena of being a musical artist.
maybe it's just better.
And he's just got loads of followers.
Mate, start singing and playing FIFA or something.
But at that level, it's the same as anybody, right? It's the same as anybody. If what was the one Molly May went on Stephen Bartlett's podcast? What is she now? She's like the fucking CEO of Pretty Little Things. There's probably hundreds of thousands of executives in the fashion industry that are like, are you fucking kidding me? I've been working in this industry for 30 years. Like honing my talent, and this 23-year-old has just turned up and is on.
I respect her hustle though.
But that's what I'm saying. You respect the hustle, but then if these people are starting to encroach in your space, then you're like, oh, come on, give me a break. So I guess it's all good and well.
No, that I should even be. I'm not generally bothered about KSI.
Listen, we're tagging KSI. KSI and you are going to get
you hate him.
I'm sorry, but
you hate KSI.
Just realised how big.
Confirmed. Luke La Volpe hates KSI.
I'll split that with Simon.
Sorry.
That's alright.
Absolutely not. Top that bad boy up.
Put that in the fucking phone.
Give me the same.
Size that.
Give me the same.
Let's smile and after the bar for a second. You a smaller one.
No.
Don't apologise. I'm only messing, but I'm going to end up absolutely. I'm going to end up absolutely hammered.
That's amazing.
Do you want one more?
Aye, please.
But what I was going to ask about was actually, you spoke a little bit about the song that went to Scottish #1, which was Dead Man's Blues.
Yeah.
No, sorry, it was. Sorry.
You do that.
And yeah, just a little bit about, you spoke a bit about being in isolation when that was happening. I just think that's a moment that is such a moment of celebration for you, but actually
You couldn't celebrate it.
But you couldn't celebrate it, and like, how did it? What was happening day by day? Like you released it on the Monday or the Saturday, or whatever. And when do you start to realise, fuck, this is hitting, it's making traction? Are you starting to get, like, is it notifications on socials? Is it your manager contacting you? Like, what's happening?
It was weird because, like, nothing's actually happening. You're sitting in the house just watching a number with your name got on a screen up and down. And I remember sitting with my wee brother at my mum's house actually, and we stayed up to watch the release it, and it was like the iTunes chart, and it went to like 5 in the iTunes chart, and I'd never released anything other than like my real old stuff. So this was like the first I've had like released in a long time. But when I went to 5 in the iTunes chart, I was sitting with my wee brother, I was like, what the like, I'm fucking famous. That's me. I'm famous now. Which in reality wasn't anyone knew the truth. But like, it's a good buzz. But it does mean nothing. That. Like,
but that's what I've always been intrigued about. Is like what do artists do? Do you know when you get the Sunday Top 40 right on Radio 1? Mm-hmm. Like, are they tuned in? Are you just listening? It's like the singer.
I probably am, but the rest of them probably not.
But Ed Sheeran's not, because he's got 40.
Yeah, he's laughing.
Like, he's not bothered.
He just puts them in.
But kind of famously, Lewis Capaldi's video of him in the hotel room when he gets was that the first time he got #1?
I think
what's that?
Probably was. Was it Bruises or something?
It basically answers your question. It's like, what's Lewis Capaldi doing when he sees that he's #1? He's lying with a pair of funny glasses and his head in a towel wrap or something.
Oh, is that what he's doing?
Well, like, he's in the hotel room by himself, and it's great content. Like,
but like that's what it is. It's just that there's a lot of when you think like all your favourite artists, the new. You know, these like on a pedestal, like these like superheroes and that. It's just normal people sitting in their house watching. But like something like that happens, it's just like exactly what you'd be like if it happened to you. You'd just be sitting there being like, "Wow."
Do you know what? As you were speaking, then I was putting myself in that situation, and I think I'd be cooking the tea, and I'd be staying a million miles away from like looking at that chart. I don't think I'd be.
If it was no lockdown, and that like the same thing happened to me where it was just like normal life, I'd have been going off my.
I'd have been terrified to look. I wouldn't even want it to.
Well, it gets addictive. Like it's like.
So it's that number counting, same as social media, like counting. And
but then at the end of it, it doesn't mean nothing. Because like you get to number one and then you get knocked off it, and then
That's it.
fuck all.
That's it.
Who knocked you off?
I can't actually remember. Like I was like, this is what's amazing about it, right? It was like the only thing we wanted was just get the screenshot. As long as you get the screenshot, if you hit the number one, it was the Scottish number one. It was like wasn't it UK number one? But at the time it was the Weekend was number one, right? And he'd been number one for something like 9 or 10 weeks or something. The Blinding Lights was it. And I remember being like sitting underneath the Weekend being that's mental. It was like on the Scottish chart. And then like it creeped above it, went one above it. Because you're sitting there refreshing it non-stop. Creeped above it, screenshot. It was maybe there for like 2 or 3 days. And then you're like not even in the top 40. Well, I got the screenshot, so
It's amazing. Listen, it's easy to probably undervalue or underestimate the achievement actually because it feels so fleeting. Because you've put all this work into it, and then you say it's a literal microsecond of a screenshot.
Now you see when that like that, my head's so fucked up about like the full pandemic. When stuff happened, like, I can't remember.
Fucking warped.
Like we ended up, like I got the breakthrough Scottish Act of the Year after that. I think it was after that, but because like usually they do like a night in the Barrowlands for the Scottish Music Awards and like it's a big award ceremony and that. I actually went to it like 2 years before that to collect Lewis Capaldi's award for him because he couldn't make it because he's a very busy man. I had to go up and do a speech in that, and I said, in fact, no, sorry, it was a year. The year before I got it, I went onto the stage and I was like, shit, like I'm not joking, like shit in my pants.
Like my mate on the train.
Like severely sharp in the train on all the way up to the stage. Like going up the stage and having to do a speech to like all these people that work in the music industry and that to collect Lucy's award for him to take it back to him. And the last thing I said was like, next year this is my award. Like I had no right to say that because nobody knew who I was or that. But then like lockdown happened and then I ended up winning it during lockdown. But then our award ceremony was a
Zoom call
online. It was like we had to go somewhere to like perform our like couple of songs for the ceremony and that. And then we actually watched it in here, like sitting there watching it on the screen. But you're watching the ceremony, you getting an award and that. It's just it took like sucked all the fucking life out of all the joy of getting it. But it's good to get it.
Yeah.
Like I've literally built my full career on during the lockdown. I've not actually done any yet. Like last year I've only done this year, sorry. I've only done 6 gigs, which is mental for somebody.
What would you be doing one a weekend?
I don't know because I've never done it. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
2023 then. What's the?
Yeah.
Just scalping. I'm scalping everything.
Every gig you can.
Just every person.
Can I go back a wee bit actually? It's interesting because you name checked a few people earlier that you were fans of, and then you were talking a little bit about your manager, and I was thinking about this at the time, but didn't quite move into that. There's a music industry's got a storied history of people getting ripped off, right? Mm-hmm. It's a story as far back as the music industry goes of artists getting ripped off by managers, pals, hangers on, all that stuff. How do you manage that? How do you surround yourself with the right people? And who do you decide? Like, how do you decide who's right for you, who's not right for you?
Why are you on this podcast?
We've been on the gain. That's probably why. There's no monetary gain from us. But like,
but you see Tiger's on there. I was like, oh right.
Like how do you do it though? How do you choose? Like, and choosing your manager is one thing, but also like, how do you surround yourself with the right people when things are going well?
It's all about like my feelings is like when you look somebody in the eye and like talk to them, you know a person like my manager Gordon. He's done so much for me, like ridiculous. Like he's put so much effort into me, a lot of money into me when I was like I had no right to get that type of treatment for anybody, and he's always had like a huge belief in me, like that something's going to happen, and hopefully it does. But like, I've met a lot of. I've had offers with record labels and that, and like meetings with them, like what to sign me. But when I've sat down with them and spoke to them, it's just like these people do not care.
Some of the deals, like historically, and in some of the biggest bands in the world, even going back, like Queen and Bowie and Dylan and all these guys, like they were talking about, I've had horrible.
Well, you watched the
Elton John.
You watched the Elvis film, didn't you? Like the.
No, I've not seen it yet.
Oh
but I
my
love Elvis,
God.
but I mean, like these guys got ripped up like horribly.
Well, like the bare bones it is, like these guys that are working in the music industry that are looking after you or labels like that, they're not there to be your pal. Like, and you know that. Like, for them to make money, you've got to
Do your job.
You've got to make the money. Like, you know what I mean? And they're doing their job, so like they deserve to get that. But there's obviously a line where some people are out of the pish. But I've never experienced any of that. Like somebody like using me or.
What's your status at the moment? Are you signed with a record label?
I'm totally independent. Everything that day is just me, my manager, and the boys in the band.
Why is that?
Just.
Do you need record labels nowadays? Like, is that?
I would love to have a record label, because obviously they pump money in, like they would fund it, but the music industry now is a total weird.
Yeah.
See, like after like lockdown and all that, it's a total weird. Nobody knows what is like the blueprint to like break an artist, get through and that. And this is where like the TikTok thing comes in. Like this is where they're all looking at TikTok now. What chance have I fucking got? You know what I mean? What chance have I
You've got a big chance now that you're on this podcast, my friend.
It's fun, man.
Yeah, it's just so
what's the dream? What's the goal? Your name's on the step.
Well, like next to KSI, man. Yeah, I don't know.
Who else is it next to? Who's on the other side?
No, there's good artists that I don't even know. Like, I've been that obsessed with KSI being there, I didn't even know.
One of the first bands I ever saw was actually, I know, was it the Barrowlands or King Tut's you were saying?
King Tut's.
Oh, was it the Barrowlands? I saw Muse at the Barrowlands before they released
What a band.
Origin of Symmetry. It's one of I've seen a lot of bands. They were
were
the best I've ever seen.
They were one of the first.
He's stunning, Matt Bellamy. Stunning.
This is a mad story actually. When me, my mum, my dad and my wee brother went to Egypt on holiday, right? And when I came home, went to, like, literally off the flight, got back like 6 in the morning at the house. I went to my room and there was a note in my bed with a suitcase packed, and my oldest brother Kyle had left a note saying, like, don't go to bed, you're going to your first festival. Down to Reading and Leeds. So literally, I still had the slippers on for the fucking hotel for Egypt. Get like 3 slippers to get out of the room.
Got a bathrobe and everything on. Full work.
Kyle's picked me up, went down to Leeds, and Muse were headlining the first night, and it was like I'm not even exaggerating, it was like seeing like God.
I was,
like,
mate,
a 15-year-old had been like, what the fuck is this?
Mate, I've been there, I've seen it. I felt
like,
the same
like
thing.
laser beams, and like there was a crane above the crowd, right? Like the crowd in there with a big box, and they do a cover Feeling Good, like
Feeling Good. Mate, that's Matt Bellamy on the piano.
Oh my
Birds
God.
flying high. I was
See,
just
they
like,
went,
the lasers, I was like,
and
oh my God.
The box opened up and it was like eyeballs the size of this room, inflatable eyeballs all falling in the crowd. And I'm still sitting in the fucking Facilis Princess Hotel slippers.
They were stunning. Like, but so see when we're talking about like what chance have I got? Like talent like that, talent like what you've actually got, that will supersede. It will supersede.
Oh,
I hope so.
It always will. Like, it doesn't matter. There's never going to be a time where human beings do not connect to like that level of talent. And what you're talking about coming out of SWG3 like a fucking rock star, that's gonna connect. It's gonna connect.
It's just all about the songs though. I need to write more tunes.
Yeah.
That's the key to everything. It's just like constantly write, and it's hard to like keep doing that and keep being confident doing it, because you didn't know what people, you know what you like yourself, but you don't know what.
What's your process now? Are you? Is it a discipline thing? Are you writing? Are you taking time out? Are you working 9 to 5 like disciplined writing, What are you doing? How's it working? Are you late night? Are you middle?
Harvey
and I are both middle of the night workers. Right?
I'm a very no disciplined person.
Is it helping or not helping?
I totally struggle writing myself.
Yeah.
All the time, because not even confidence, but just I didn't know if what I'm doing is the correct avenue to be going down. But one of the best guys I've ever wrote with, the last EP I'd done, the Lifelines EP. The guy Ian Archer, he's the guitarist for Snow Patrol, and so he lives down in Brighton. So I got a train down to Brighton. I turned up, and I'm texting him. Never met him before, obviously. And he's like, "I'm just going for a swim." And I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "I'm just this is the first time I met him. Might have been October or something. I'm going for a swim down at sea." I'm like, "What?" So I go down to he's like, "I'll meet you at the beach." So I go down to the beach, and it's I'm not Brighton's sometimes quite
It's
warm.
very tropical sometimes.
But I'm talking, this is fucking winter shit with him. And I look at the water and he's just floating in the sea, in the middle of this camouflage wetsuit. And I'm writing tunes with this guy today. What the fuck are we going to do today? So we went up to his house and we got in. Honestly, one of the nicest guys ever. And he was a Northern Irish guy. And he was we're just talking about music and that, and we're sitting chatting for about 3 years about just life and it. It was getting kind of emotional. Is this about my papa and exactly what we're doing now? Just talk about how I started and everything. So we're talking for 3 years, and I'm looking at my watch when are we going to start writing some songs? And he's just went like that in the space bar. He'd recorded our full 3 year conversation.
Really?
And he's like, "We're just going to pick out some sentences, the stuff that you've said, and start for there as a song." And I was like, "That's a total weird."
That's cool. As
way, so there's nothing more honest than something you've actually said, and then you just write for there.
What also captures me in that story, right, is you saying, "Oh, I was texting him."
Mm-hmm.
Is it not surreal getting these people's numbers?
It's mentally because you think they're
Snow Patrol.
Well,
it's legit.
You're not even Ian Archer. Ian Archer, he's guitar Snow Patrol, right? But he wrote the Snow Patrol song "Run."
Yeah.
He wrote that.
Was that not Leona Lewis? No, I don't think that's. Did you? Did she not cover it?
KSI wrote it. KSI wrote
it. He's also wrote, see James Bay, Hold Back the River. He wrote that with him.
Oh, did he?
It's mental that when I was at his house too, when we were recording tunes. I went there the first time, just meet him, and we wrote, wrote out some tunes and that. And then the second time I went down, we went down to record because he's got a studio in his garden and that. And we went back to the tunes we wrote I think it was maybe a year before. My head's fucked, I can't actually remember, but we went back and then we started writing more stuff and that. But then he was like, "Oh, do you want to see just the files on his computer, all the people he's wrote with?" And he was like, "Show me tunes that he wrote with Liam Gallagher that's just never been put out." But you just plays a wee bit and I'm just this is mad, mad shit to hear. Hear wee bits of art that's never going to be released. It's just wee writing sessions with these mental people. Crazy, man. Jake Bug too, Lightning Bolt. He wrote that with him.
Did he? That is a tune. That is a great tune.
It's interesting. I hark back to Dylan a bit because he's probably my hero, and I just absolutely I've got so much admiration for him. But there's loads of footage of him when he was followed around by a documentary filmmaker in his early years in '65 and '66, Penbacker, who filmed basically all of his tours, his world tour, and then his subsequent tour of England, and there's loads of footage of him writing, and it's obviously I'm not it's not.
Please
obviously, Bob Dylan is probably, in my opinion, the greatest singer-songwriter
100%
ever. So it's difficult to use that as an example, but you just see him on a piano and just like he's just playing notes and just like you're talking about others and there's this like anxiety around is what I'm doing good enough or is what I'm doing great or is it right or is it, but if you look at what he does, it's just like I don't think he's given that any consideration.
Yeah, well,
he's not given it.
There's a weird thing, right? And I spoke to loads of people about this, right? There's times where, right, if you had to say to me now, like write a song now, I'd be there like putting a lot of effort in, like thinking about what everything means and what melodies are happening in that, and it'd be like a lot of effort going into it. But there's times where like, and there's no way to describe it, right? It's like almost like a divine. Like somebody like sun for the ether just like came to you. It's not even your idea. Like sun turns up, and you just write this. Like see, like there's the songs I've wrote before. Trying like even like Dead Man's Blues, right? I wrote that way. Fuck his name. Fuck me, that's bad. This is mental as shit. He played in Paul Latini's band, this guy, and when we're sitting writing it, there was like lyrics coming to me about stuff that I was like, who's like when we were writing it down, I was like, who's actually writing that? I didn't feel like it was actually coming from me. It was like it was coming from somebody else, and that sounds like totally like trying to be eccentric and saying something mental, but there's definitely like some kind of like thing floating about. You just like pick ideas out of it.
Do you know what it ties into? What exactly the exact theme I was about, or the exact sort of topic I was about to talk about was there's Bob Dylan does an interview with Bob Bradley. It's a 60 minutes interview. So 60 minutes is like a interview show. It's an American. I think they do it globally. They do 60 Minutes Australia and stuff. But he does this interview with Bob Bradley, and he asks that question like about how did you write all these songs in like the 60s, and you wrote all these like literally world defining songs.
Exactly.
And Dylan's answer is just like, I never wrote those songs. It wasn't me that wrote them. Somebody else wrote those songs. I just happened to be the one that held the pen.
So is that just good drugs that he's on? Or?
Well, yeah, there's amphetamines and all that from that era. I suppose they were all pretty fucking high. Like, but it's the same as what you're saying. That's exactly his answer. It's like he's like, I never wrote those. I don't know how I came to write those songs, but I just did. And then he's like, I can't write them now though. I can't write them anymore. Like I don't have that in me anymore. That was then, and this is now. And I guess
there's an called like you have like flow state. Like see when somebody like plays like somebody's like
athletes
if you're
like,
or somebody like playing like Call of Duty, and you're like you're
or
just like your brain's not even on. Yeah, you're just like in a state where you're just doing the thing. Like muscle memory kicks in. That's what like with songwriting, it's like a muscle that you've got to keep doing constantly, or you lose it.
Have you heard of the guitarist Robert Johnson? So you know the exactly
Devil at the Crossroads.
It's the most famous musical. It's the most famous musical folklore or most mythical sort of story ever, isn't it? Robert Johnson played in the Deep South for years and years and years. He was a bang average performer, guitarist, mucking around, going to different pubs and whatever bars, speakeasies. I don't know, probably before Prohibition time, I think it was, and then went away and came back and was the world's greatest guitarist. Yeah. Like, how the fuck did that happen?
Well, there's a great documentary about him.
Sold his soul to the devil on the crossroads.
He ended up getting poisoned. Somebody poisoned a bottle of whiskey that he drank. Yeah. Whiskey.
Is that right?
Yeah. But it's weird you mentioned that. I was talking about this the other night to my older brother Kyle. I used to have this. I had a tune called Dancing with Shadows, right, when I was younger. And it was about this dream I had, right? It was like the full like classic thing about like singers and like rock and roll, and it's like people selling their soul to the devil, and it's stemmed from Robert Johnson. I used to have this dream. I'm talking like a reoccurring dream, at least once a week for about a year straight, right? And I'd be sitting at the computer in the house typing up like an essay or something for school, and it was like so real, like this dream, like so visceral, like it couldn't be more real. You could feel the keys in your fingertips doing it, and at the corner of your eye at the bottom of the drive, there'd be like sun shining in the light. So I'd get up, go out the back door, turn onto the drive, just with my socks on. I could feel like the cold for the monoblock, like the wetness.
Mm-hmm.
What we're doing, and I'd get to the bottom of the drive. It was like a 50s style microphone sitting at the bottom of the drive. And I went to touch it. The minute I went to touch it, you ever had sleep paralysis?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Where you try to see a person. The minute I touched it, it was like the most evil laugh in the world, right? And like you try to look and you can't see who's there. And I used to have this, like, I'm talking once a week for about a year, when I was like maybe like 14, 15. And like I was like, oh, this is the devil. This is the Robert Johnson thing coming to me. So I wrote the tune Dance Me Shaz, but I don't know if you'll be able to find it. I don't know if, did I?
It's not on.
Is it?
It's not on Spotify.
Is it?
Is it? Must be the one I've not listened to.
It's probably pish, right? So if I go back and listen to it, it'd be horrendous, but...
I thought you were going to say it is.
like, that, the story of him's like...
But there's something in that, right? Because you've just described an experience that's probably not uncommon. That's not unique to you, right?
But that's probably stemmed from knowing about...
No, the experience of someone else who wrote this. Like, I was just... The experience you're talking about of like, I'm sat there and these words are coming out and I'm not like consciously creating this. It's just coming out. It's just flowing out. That's not a unique experience.
It's just like it's just pure emotion. The reason I started writing tunes was like because when I was a young boy, I was like a total quiet, like didn't know how to understand your emotions and that. So like you put it down on a bit of paper and then you play it out and rip it out. Like it's when I come out on stage, that's what you're just like releasing all that emotions that you're writing about. But
what was it like coming out in Glasgow? I keep saying Glasgow, SWG3.
It was Glasgow.
I know, but I know you've played more than one place in Glasgow.
There's nothing like that in the world.
It's probably a good place to go back to the very first night we met.
Mm-hmm.
It's very romantic.
Very romantic.
You've made such a good impression of me. You walked in with an absolute hard on. I seen you come.
This sounds like a setup, right? And it's not. It genuinely isn't a setup chat, and this is genuinely real. But I'd been listening to you on Spotify, right? And you'd popped up, and you were playing in the bathroom or something. Did you do some stuff?
We used to do a couple of tunes in the toilet.
You did some stuff, playing in your bathroom, right, on Instagram, right? So it popped up on my Instagram feed, and I was like, and I'd listened to it, I was like, fuck, I love this guy's voice, this is great. And then I looked up, he's from Bathgate, fucking hell, great Spotify, few tunes on Spotify, and I was like, wow, like, really, really like this guy, this is cool. And yeah, so my mind was like, do you know, and it's like, listen, with the best will in the world, I'm like looking like, is this guy like somebody that we could speak to, or is he like got 10 million followers?
You're just trying to use me, basically.
Well, yeah. So I'm looking at it, I'm like, I love this, love the sound, love it, because it's right, musically, it's right in my wheelhouse, right? What you do is really like what I would listen to. So I text Avi, I was like, mate, this guy's fucking great, listen to this tune, he's local, let's try and get this guy on the podcast, this will be great, I'll reach out to him. And I was like, are you taking the piss? I'm like, no. He's like, it's fucking guy's playing tonight at this gig, at this whiskey tasting. And I was like, what do you mean? And he's like, and I phoned you straight away. I was like, did you see this? Like, mate,
read the group chat.
Read the fucking group. This is the guy that's playing at the whiskey. This is the guy that I was telling you. I've told you this is the guy, and I was like, oh my god. So like, I came in, but I was like super nervous because it's like
absolute
weird. Never showed it.
So I came in and I'm like sliding up to Luke like that at the bar. Like,
there was one point you actually like. But it was
cornered you at the window.
When it was like the
I introduced
cheese and whiskey
myself
taste. There was one point he was actually butting a bit of cheese and a bit of bread for me. I was like, hand there. No trying to be too forward though. It's just like,
I introduced myself at one point.
Grapes from it.
Pretending like I'm not, because you get this weird like awkward thing where you like, I'm like, am I supposed to like say that I know who he is? Or so I just came up and introduced myself. And he's like, I'm Luke. And I was like,
are you getting stopped now?
Where?
Are you getting stopped places?
Oh, Bathgate,
like folk know him.
Like, but like,
no,
to what level?
No, really bad. I've had bad ones. Like,
and what is a bad one? Define it.
Like when people come up and like ask for photo, that's like brilliant. like you feel like total imposter syndrome. Like that's like it's not as if I'm actually that famous. But I had one night when I was sitting with my mate Wilson in the Bombardier in Bathgate, and somebody came up and asked for a photo of me. I was like, oh, of course, no bother, taking a photo. And then this other lassie came up and was like, do you think you're famous or something? And I was like, no, I don't think I'm famous. She's like, no, you think you're big time, don't you? And it's like, I got to the point she was saying that much, I was like, aye, I fucking am actually.
That's quite a weird one. How does it sit with you, fame?
That's
Like, how does it sit with you naturally? Do you
It's
feel
not, like-
comfortable with it, or is it?
It's not at the stage where it's like bad.
But it might. So are you
I
preempting
look at
yourself?
like, see like with Lewis Capaldi, like
Did you know him?
I've known like since we were young.
Yeah.
But I see the stuff he gets like after SWG3 when I was with him after the gig and that, like I see what he has to experience with folk, and he's so good with people like trying to make time for everybody, but it's like it must be so hard.
They're your bread and butter, eh? That's the thing. They're the people who decide. It's like that whole. It's like the crowd decides. It's up to them. Like you're famous or you're successful because of them, and only because of them. So they decide whether or not it continues.
I think everybody that's like a singer or like any type of like person that's in like a limelight would love to have. Even when people have been nice to you, it's amazing. But when imagine like 1,000 people being nice to you all at the same time, when you're in one room, it's like it gets to the point where it's like it's no nice anymore. Like you just why. I need to tell you something funny. Right? I was thinking this when you were sitting at the light, right? The SWG3. So like the morning of the gig, a lot of nerves and that are going on and making sure everyone's got all the equipment going and everything. And I was thinking about like the light. There's like a lot of lights at SWG3, and I'm a very pale man, as you can see. So I was thinking, like, you need to put some kind of tan, like get some kind of tan on, so that you didn't look so white on the stage. So Finn, my girlfriend's like she's got this like gradual mist fake tan spray. I'm like, I'll just put a wee bit of that on. Pretty sound. I was like, what did they? She's like, just like cut the squishes in the face. So she told me like, I'm squishing it in my face, and she went through the kitchen, and then she came back, and I'm still squishing it. She's like, no, not that much. So I went, that'll be fine. So I'm just like rubbing it in my face and that. I went to the sound check. I'm standing on the stage. This is like an admission because I'm standing on the stage, and Yusuke, my bass player, was like, you got makeup on? And straight away I'm like,
so you're fucking famous,
I'm
is
like,
that?
I'm like, fuck. Like, not like, no, what are you talking about? No. So the minute we've done the sound check, I'm up in the green room bit, and I'm in the toilet, and I'm in the fucking washing fucking my face. I need to get this shit off my face. I go out, sitting back with the boys and that, and Capaldi and his mate Michael Duffy came in, and Michael's like to me, he's like, you got fake tan on your face. I'm like, no. At this point, I'm like freaking out. I don't even know why. I'm embarrassed. I've got fake tan on my face. I'm like, no, I've been in a sunbed. Mate.
That's better.
Then I look in the mirror, and because I've splashed water on my face, the full thing's went patchy on my face. I'm looking in the mirror, and I've got like leopard orange bits on my hair. There's like bits of my hair are orange and that. I'm like, oh, this is like 15 minutes before I'm going on the fucking stage. So what do I do here? Back in the toilet, scrubbing it. I'm like, scratching my nails out of the face and I'm like, get it off. Capaldi then comes in, he's like, are you wearing makeup? I'm like, no way, this is still happening. End up going on the stage, and I've got all the photos back for the gig for like the professional photographers and that. And there's some photos I look like a mutant with some kind of skin condition on my face. So I'm texting the photographer saying like, you need to make this picture fucking black and white right now.
No, it's so many black and white stills for the gig.
That's all the black and white ones are me orange. Underneath that's orange.
So that gig, that SWG3, was that the biggest gig you've done so far, do you think?
That's the biggest headline one. Like when I'm like selling the tickets, the biggest one I've done was supporting Lewis in Lytham Festival, 20,000 folk. And that's like see when it gets to that size, it's like there's not even nerves at that point. It's like it's like a holy experience when you go. It's just like, what the fuck am I actually doing here right now? Like
that is
I'm
amazing.
scared of heights, right? So I'm scared of heights. So you couldn't get me on a ladder. But see an aeroplane, it's too high.
You're up there now.
It's too high to like. I equate that to like a similar thing. You know, if you play in front of like 1,000 people, that's fucking terrifying.
It's like if you fall off a ladder, you're probably going to hurt yourself.
And see if you play in front of 30,000.
If you fall off a plane, you're not going to feel it yet.
But it's the same thing, isn't it? It's too big. Like 20, 30, 40,000 people at festivals. It's too big for you. It's probably too big for your brain to quantify. It's probably why you don't feel the same way. Like whereas playing in front of 8 people in your living room is probably fucking terrifying.
Oh, 100%.
But playing in front of 40,000 people at a stadium.
It's got like, see, the smaller it gets, if I've had to play a song,
the worse it is.
If I had to play a song now for you, it's like,
yeah, the guitar's here.
That's coming, my friend. That is coming.
What's the
I'm singing. We agreed to that.
You're gonna sing.
Yeah.
Are we doing it on the podcast?
No way. No way.
I'll play a song right now and you sing, like 100%.
On the pod, that's gonna make.
At least I can crop this.
What's your thing? What's your tune?
Yeah, Blues, I think.
No, Familiar Bliss.
Familiar Bliss.
But I can't sing his song. That's
in front of him.
no way.
Imagine.
That ain't happening.
Get all the mics turned on.
That would be buzzing now.
I know.
Lewis he's a long time friend. That must have been pretty incredible watching his journey then.
Watching Lewis, like, we're not like, we never went to the same school or that. Like, I just met Lewis through music when I was about like 13 and he just like, levels it and just like a rocket ship. And there was a long time I was like well jealous at being like, what is he doing that I'm not doing? It generally a poisonous thing in me. It was like, that's a bad thing. But like, as I've grown up and looking at it, I was like, it's unbelievable what he's actually done. Like, he's like one of the biggest artists on the entire planet. Like one of his songs is the most streamed song in the history of streaming in the UK, and his favourite one.
Yeah, it's crazy. Can't get your head around that. I feel like it's easy for me to say it, but it's a matter of time before it's you, like, for sure.
I'd love that, but at the same time, I'm happy with it.
Or listen, once you pull that guitar out and I sing, it could be a wee duo. No way.
Fuck KSI this one.
KSI this track with Luke La Volpe and Harvey Black.
I'll
get back to the boxing match, Pat.
I'll get the boxing deal.
I want to get back to the boxing match.
Basically, me and Jordan was got to boxing, like training in Bathgate, and I ended up like getting interested in going to it, like enjoying doing like pad work and doing bags and that. And then it came to sparring, and every time I got put into sparring, I was getting put in like I'm 4 years younger than Jordan, so I was getting put with these guys who were like 4 years older than me, like folk that knew how to box. I was just getting leather up and doing the show. But to the point that I'm walking out and they're like touching gloves at the end, you're like cut, like fucking well, like, cheers mate, cheers. Smashed to bits every fucking time I turned up. Just like I Tuesday night, like going to school the next day. Teacher's like, what the fuck's happened to you? I'm like, I was just at boxing my brother last night. But it turned out, like, after like 4 weeks of this happening, every time I go to sparring, I'm like, this is pish. Like, I don't want to do this. I'm like, I say to the coach, like, what's going on? Like, because there's boys my age who are training that are sparring each other, and I'm like, I could smash all the cunts.
You put the wrong address, you put the wrong date of birth.
I say to the coach, I'm like, what's going on? Like, after 4 weeks, what's going on?
Why am I getting back out?
Like, why am I getting put with all these big cunts that know what they're doing? He's like, fuck it, I thought you and your brother were twins, man. So I'm like 16, he's 20, and I'm getting smashed fuck out of his 20. No teeth, broken nose. Look, he stick my face. Look at that nose. That's abuse.
Oh my goodness! Oh, I love how long you've left it as well. It's like a month. It's like a month in.
Like, maybe I should say something. Maybe I should say about this.
Twice a week. God, KSI is fucking bother like.
Yeah,
You
must
KSI
have-
doesn't know what I've been through.
You've been through some shit.
Fucking right. There was another time too. Me and Joe used to train the boxing in the house in the living room and that. And we like two pair of gloves, no heat guards, like no gum shields too.
That's smart.
Joe'd always be nice when like teach me stuff and that. Like show me like playing the jab and everything. And good to point I got quite good at it, and we're sitting in the living room, we're doing it, and I just fucking like throw a right hand, I crack Joe right in the mouth, and Joe looks at me and he's like that, and he's tooth snow there. And he looks at the wall where the mirror is, and he looks at his cell in the mirror like that. And he turns back at me like, oh. And I ran up the stair. And he came up the stair and he volleyed me up and down the fucking top of the stair. So like my full childhood just been getting battered with older guys.
Yeah, there's a song in there somewhere, right?
There's definitely a song in there, like definitely.
There would have been if I ever got fucking punched out my head.
You probably threw it in the bin actually, along with those other songs that you chucked out.
Where it belongs, man.
I know.
But you got any boxing stories there?
And my uncle was like, he took boxing classes. He was always quite a good boxer, and he would spar. He'd be like, oh, come in the ring, and I'll do a bit of sparring with you. And I could never land a punch, right? And it used to frustrate me. And I went for the punch, I missed him, and I caught his ear, right? But I caught him with my thumb. Obviously, I had gloves on, right? But I thought I'd fucking broken my thumb. And he really fucking hurt his ear. She was like, oh my God, that was a beauty. Like, did you? Oh, I was like that. He said, yeah, my thumb was knackered and his ear was also looking pretty brutal.
She could be a beauty.
Yeah. That was just as far as my boxing career went. I punched my uncle.
Yeah, my only combat sports story is one of my best friends was like world kickboxing champion. So he was under 18s.
You heard of him, Andrew Tate? You ever heard of him?
No. I think he was under 18s, under 21s world.
Big Andy, I know.
British kickboxing champion, Commonwealth world kickboxing champion, like proper handy guy. Like, and if he's watching this, he'll know exactly what I'm talking about. And I used to spar with him in the gym, and once I was actually holding the pads at the time, and I just basically he was working the pads, and I clipped him on top of the lip with one in the corner of one of the pads, the stitching of one of the pads, and split his lip, and I have dined out on it for probably 15 years. Smashed it. So the story is now like, anytime it ever comes up, the story is like, mate, I fucking absolutely mullered him, mate. Fucking proper had him. He was in proper danger now. You could see him just like, fucking dick.
I remember.
I've dined out on it
I remember
so
one
long.
time, right? He's gonna love it. We're messing with this. Grotty, or a mate Grotty, right? You need to meet this guy. But he's always thought he said he's about an MMA fighter and that, right? And like we were going to this gym in Livy. And he said to me, I'll teach you a bit of kickboxing. And it's like it was like, why do you want to? He's like, I'll teach you a bit of kickboxing. I'm like, I didn't actually want to do that.
No. Why anyway?
Just why I go to the gym. You know, and they've got like a proper like octagon and that in this gym, right? So now just come on, I'll teach you a bit of kickboxing and that. And like, if you knew Grotty, you'd know you're not learning fuck all there. He's going to like day something to you, right? So we're in the ring together. It's actually hilarious I'm saying this because I'm no trying to act like I know anything about fighting whatsoever, right? But I'm in the ring with Grotty, right? I've got the gloves up. Like just the stuff I'd learnt for getting punched fuck out in Bathgate ABC for 4 years after all his pals. Grotty's like to me, right, let's go. So I'm like in the boxing stance and that, and he's chucking a punch and I'm dodging it. He's like, no, like stop. Like, what? He's like, no, in kickboxing you've got to stand on square. And straight away I'm like, that's no right. Like, what are you talking about? You've got to stand square. You've got to like take punches on the chin. I'm like,
That sounds legit.
and I'm like,
I love this guy.
class guy. So he's like, I'm like, right, cool. Well, so I'm doing it. And then like, now I've done it, I'm getting fucking hit, obviously hit now.
Obviously.
He's like, no, it's cool, it's fine. Just keep doing it. He's like, no, stand there square. And then he's like teaching me this thing, like a switch kick. Like you starting with your front foot and then you like come back and then you kick for. So I'm doing it onto his glove and that. He's like, right, cool. He's like, no, like take it into sparring now. So we're doing it. And then all of a sudden, his wee leg. Have you seen Grotty, right? Like Kim Pingu. It's just like all body, no leg, just like a fat at the bottom of the body. His wee flipper came out of fucking neighbour, shin right across the fucking jaw, knocked me in the flare. Right? And I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? He's like, first surely kickboxing is never listening to anything anybody tells you. It's that, fuck this.
I'm a way to be a singer.
He stitched you up an absolute fucker. He has stitched you up a music.
No, that's just like that's bullshit. I just got free brain damage for fuck off.
Oh, I love this
That's
guy.
really nice singing after that.
That's, if anybody wants to
That's
know,
why I forget all my lyrics.
well, that's the Genesis story, isn't it? That's it. So got kicked in the head, started writing songs. It's so good. One of the preloaded questions I had for you was actually, you touched on it just very briefly, and it was about the relationship with your crowd, and how you sort of manage that relationship, and if it comes, is it something that you have cultivated over time, like your interactions with them, and how you mentioned your bandmate, one of your bandmates was like, you need to fucking get the crowd on side, and you need to get them going. I've seen a multitude of different bands, and we saw Dylan recently in Glasgow.
I actually never saw Dylan. He was behind his piano. Never saw him.
Yeah, but it's also famous for that. You know, it's done that since the '60s, but doesn't interact with the crowd at all. I've seen bands that like, I saw Blink-182 live, and they're like, it's like a fucking comedy show. They never stop talking, right?
Yeah.
And so I guess it's an element of personality and an element of stage personality. What's yours, and is it deliberate or is it natural?
No, it's a very hard thing. That's the main thing I struggle with. Is like in between songs, like speaking to people, and because you're literally speaking to at times like thousands of people. It's like having a conversation with
No one.
thousands of people that aren't replying to you.
Yeah.
So you got to like, I don't know how to describe it. It's like everything you say, you got to think what you're saying is like a class thing, or nobody else is going to believe that what you're saying is a class thing to be saying. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
It
yeah.
does make sense, and my mind immediately goes to Dave Grohl when I saw the Foo Fighters at Meadowbank Stadium years and years ago. He was just like amazing. Like his crowd interaction was absolutely incredible, and like it's like you say, every time he opened his mouth, you would just like.
There's a bit like a point that you've got to like kind of like cheese up your personality too, which. And if I was watching a band, watching somebody doing that, you'd be like, it's hard for me to actually watch somebody playing a gig when they're talking in between, because you're like, like for experience doing it, you're like,
It's not you.
I know they're just trying to get to the next bit, but I have no idea how people. I'm still honing that part.
What do you do? What is your what do you?
No, it's just totally off the cuff, and a lot of people. Like write down on like you've got a set list at your field that people write down. It's time to talk about something like this or that. But like when I'm up there, it's like that all goes out one day. You just it's a total adrenaline rush. Based thing. It just reminded me SWG3. This is mental.
Okay.
in the morning when we were leaving to go to the gig, I got a message on Instagram from a guy saying, my girlfriend went to labour last night at 10 o'clock. And as I'm reading this, like the words, my big egomaniac, he's like, he's named his Wayne after me.
His name is Wayne the Fox.
But that wasn't what it was. But
He's misinterpreted the name and called it the wolf.
But as I'm reading it, he's like, oh, my girlfriend at labour at 10 p.m. last night. Gave birth this morning at 7 a.m. To a beautiful baby boy. And this is the sentence that was just like, and my was like, what the fuck? He said, but I'm not missing this gig the night for anything in the world. So I'm like, what are you talking about? I replied to him saying, what are you talking about? And he's like, no, I need to come to this gig. I've been waiting on it all year. I was like, your son has just been born this morning at 7 a.m. He's like, no. He's like, can you please dedicate a song to my son? I was like, of course. Like, so Terribly Beautiful at the end, like, it's a good song to dedicate it to. And at the gig, like, I'd wrote on my set list, just like next to Terribly Beautiful, remember, like, newborn child. Yeah. Which is a mad thing. It looked like at the end of your set, looked and you're like, oh, I fucking newborn child thing. But so I said the boy's name to the crowd, like, where are you? And he's put his hand up, like, right in the front actually. And he's like, waving, I'm like, let me tell you all what this cunt sent me this morning. I've said to the full crowd about, like, what he's saying, like, I'm here when my girlfriend just gave birth to my child, and then some of the crowd started booing. Oh, definitely. I was like, no, it's fine. Like, he's... And then I started thinking, maybe I should be booing along with that. So I was like, where is your girlfriend, your babe?
You do get kicked out of hospital at some point as a dad if the wife and the kids.
Yeah, but the first thing you're doing is they're going to one of my gigs.
Best night out of his life.
Best night ever in years. I fucking love that he got booed. That's amazing.
No, it was like
poor guy.
There was a wee bit of booing, and I was like, no, this is a beautiful thing.
Yeah,
but that just shows you though, like, folks started cheering once. I was like, no, he's having a baby boy.
Yeah.
Like, people are going to tear him apart.
This guy that's wife's had a baby, he'll be like telling the story forever. Oh man, your mum had you, and then I fucking went to Luke La Volpe at night and had this stuff, and had a few beers and that, and got on it. Like that is, and it's
that's freaking.
It's funny, but it's quite humbling, and it's quite weird, eh? That you're now like you and that fucking human being are entwined forever, and that's crazy.
It'll give me nightmares.
That is crazy. I honestly really felt the impact of that.
Do you know what was number one when you were born?
Yeah.
What?
Five Star by.
What was that?
What's his name? Fucking.
Prodigy.
What's your biggest fear moving forward? So you've been on this trajectory of. I know it's not been straight up, but it's been up.
See that question? That's so weird. You asked me that.
Yeah. Built up this answer, like.
This better be a beauty.
Yeah, poor beauty here, actually. Nah, my biggest fear has always been like being an old man, lying on your deathbed and be like you've not achieved enough. Whether it's music or whatever, like getting to the point where like should I have decided to do this as my thing, like do music and that. So that's the thing that drives me every day is like imagine you're like 80-year-old lying in your bed and you're like I could have been
but I didn't bother.
Yeah. It's also partly why we just pulled the trigger and went for the podcast as well. Like it was like see what happened. I'd rather like film 100 episodes and be like,
cool, 10 people watched it.
Right.
Then film none and be like, imagine we well, what would have happened if we started a podcast kind of thing?
Harvey's got a phrase that he comes out with. Because we work a lot together on various different projects, and Harvey always says to me, tell you what, mate, it's not going to be for lack of trying.
Yeah.
And we're never, and do you know what, it's the same, and I totally believe that. I'm like, do you know what, see if we spend our fucking entire lives grafting away at this stuff and get nowhere, that would be fine with me. I would lie on my deathbed at 80-year-old or 90-year-old, whatever it is, my time is to go.
Well, I'll flip it. What's your biggest fear then?
Biggest fear?
If you say spiders, I'm going
no, be better than that. Very, very similar to your answer. I would hate to regret not trying, not being the best. I'm competitive with various things, but I'm competitive with myself. I would hate to regret not trying hard enough in something. There's things that I do look back on and think, oh, I probably could have tried harder at that, and it probably motivates me to try harder now.
There was something I can't remember what it was I watched. It was another podcast, but it was somebody saying like the scariest thing ever would be meeting the perfect version of yourself. When you've not tried. Imagine like the perfect. If you gave 100%, you met the perfect version of yourself. That done everything you should have done.
Saw what they had turned out to be.
Yeah.
That's horrifying. One of my questions is for you, and it's just to kind of, it's a wrap up question. I think it's good. What are you into right now? Like, what are you fucking loving right now that everybody should be into?
There's a band, right? There's a band.
Mm-hmm.
You should be into Black Pumas.
Black Pumas.
You need to listen.
That's your thing.
Nice.
Loving them.
Great answer.
Like, we'll play. Obviously, can't play them now.
We'll play it when the cameras are finished.
But different level.
Nice. That's a great answer.
Easy answer. It's not to do with health.
No, it doesn't have to be. It's just a thing that you're fucking loving right now, and you're like, why is everybody not into this thing? Black Pumas.
Black Pumas.
Where are they? What are they? Who are they?
They're American
band.
But
nice.
You can't put any words for it. It's like
nice.
Good.
Very, very last thing. We'll wrap up on this. What's your most listened to song on Spotify and how many listens?
Terribly Beautiful. It'll be
188,071.
Terribly Beautiful. 188,000 and what?
188,071.
And 71.
And how many monthly listeners?
It's be about 4,000.
4,259.
Nice.
Wee guy.
What's the
How much does Spotify pay?
Fuck all.
You paid a Spotify?
Aye, like 6p or something a year.
For that? Is that what you get? Is really?
You get 0.001 pence a play.
0.001 pence a play?
No, 0.0001.
So release a song that's 3 seconds long. We all put it on repeat for a year. Back.
You just broke the fucking matrix.
Safeguards again.
Why have I not play that?
Look, where can we find you? What are your handles, socials, all that kind of stuff?
Just Luke La Volpe on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook,
TikTok. Mate, I'm loving your Instagram.
Search KSI.
I love your
KSI is really good to get.
KSI boxing matches in the works.
Is he a boxer as well?
We're going to try and make that happen. We're going to try and make that happen. Luke La Volpe, all the socials, mate. I've loved it. This has been a lot of fun.
Top man.
Fucking so good.
These boys, thanks very much.
So good, mate. Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
This is going to be an interesting watch back.
It is.
It'll be a good edit. Thank you so much.
My God.
I'm getting a round of applause.
Love it. Top man.
Thanks, mate. That was so good.